Just start. If I waited to have it all together, there would be no podcast. If I had waited to have it all together, we would not have 760,000 downloads, almost 500 episodes. If I had waited, I don't have it all completely perfect. I've done this long enough to know perfection is not a thing.
Hi, docs. Welcome to the EntreMD podcast, where it's all about helping amazing physicians just like you embrace entrepreneurship so you can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. I'm your host, Dr. Una.
Seven years seems like a really long time, but the truth of the matter is it comes and it goes in the blink of an eye. On September 29th, 2018, we had our very first EntreMD meeting, which I'll talk about. And at that time, I had no clue it would become what it became or what it has become. And I just want to take this time to walk you through the journey over the last 7 years, the results that have been created, if you will, and the lessons that I learned along the way. And my hope and my trust is you'll be able to take some of these things. It will normalize challenges you're facing. It will normalize fears that you're facing. It will make you so excited for the future. It will make you go even more in on your future. And it will make your next 7 years be so much more amazing than anything you could have imagined. I will also ask you for something that will be so meaningful for me. EntreMD really is about helping doctors build profitable 6, 7, and multiple 7-figure businesses so they have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on their terms. The EntreMD podcast and the EntreMD journey I'm about to share, these are two things that can radically change the lives of the doctors in your world. So I will ask you, even before you lean in, because I have a track record of giving you good stuff, I want you to take this podcast episode and I want you to share it with as many physicians as you can. Send it by text. Send it in WhatsApp, post it in Facebook groups that you're part of where sharing is allowed. Share it with your friends and share it in your associations. If you're the leader of a physician community, share it in your community. I'm going to be doing a tour, if you will, doing interviews with different leaders of physician communities. And if you love me to come into your community, and it really is like a fireside chat, Q&A, ask questions about the journey, about the lessons, what physicians should do, all of that. I am so open to it. Just send us an email at Dr. Una, DRUNA at EntreMD.com, and we'll be happy to set that up. So if you could share, this will mean the world to me. The world. And you can literally send me a DM or a PM to just say, hey, Dr. Una, I'm celebrating EntreMD's birthday as well. I want to let you know that I shared it and stuff like that. And I'll be happy to, just give you a virtual hug. Okay. All right. I want to walk us through this. You've heard me tell the story many times of, 2016 was when I first knew that medicine as we knew it at the time was gone and it was time to retool myself. And I started that whole process of retooling myself so that I can thrive in the days that were coming, which are today. And I started doing that and I started learning to speak and I started learning to sell and all of these things. And I said, wow, I'm not the only one who needs to retool myself. It's not going to be bad for just me if I don't change. It's going to be bad for a million physicians. And so that's when I said, okay, let's turn around and let's help doctors. Let's help doctors learn things they need to learn like I was learning. So be ready for the times that are coming. And it's been something. Okay. All right. So let's walk through this. And I said it's been 7 years. So let me pick 7 landmarks, 7 milestones that we crossed and kind of walk you through that. So the very first one I want to talk about is the very first EntreMD meetup. Okay. So this was September 29th, 2018. And, I had decided we're going to go all in. I'm like, okay, what are we going to call this company? I was like, well, I want to become entrepreneurial MDs. I think I may have seen Dave Ramsey's Entre Leadership. Sometimes you feel like people don't influence you. And after I thought about it, I was like, I wonder if that was what inspired me to do EntreMD, but whichever. We then decided to call it EntreMD. And I remember, okay, EntreMD, so ENTRE, then uppercase M, uppercase D. I was like, that's the name of our company, which I will pause and say this, right? Now, when I teach my clients, I'm like, please, it is always cute. It's always clear over cute, okay? Because when I picked EntreMD, I was like, ooh, the name was so cute. But this is the deal. Every time I meet people, I have to explain what it means. Now, not so much because people kind of know what the company stands for, But before that, or if it's someone who doesn't know about the company, it's like EntreMD. I'm like, like entrepreneurial MD, EntreMD. They're like, oh, right? I would may have picked something as boring as, seven-figure physicians or physicians in business or whatever. Okay. So I wouldn't change this. I'm just saying clear over cute any day. So that was our first meetup. And I was like, okay, we're going to get people in, for a lunch meeting, and we're going to cast the vision and all of those things. I had no clue what I was doing, people, but I was doing it. And so we looked at a number of restaurants, and then we booked a room at Maggiano's Little Italy. Okay. So it's it's not a local restaurant, but it's a restaurant. There's one location local to me. We booked it there, and so I put the event on Eventbrite and started really promoting it and all of that stuff. And with all the marketing power I had in the world, I was able to get 6 doctors and 3 medical students to come in for that meeting. Okay. Big shout out to Dr. Carmen Eccles. She was actually one of the doctors that was there at that meeting. And Dr. Jayla Thomas and Dr. Aldwin, they were medical students at the time. They both graduated now, and one is completed residency, one is still in residency. It's just amazing. And so we had that, and I remember being so nervous. And so, welcomed people, did some chit chat, ate some lunch, and then came out. I was like, EntreMD, these are the problems that are going on in the physician space. And the truth of the matter is, if we don't retool ourselves, we're going to be out of luck, and entrepreneurship is the path, and share the vision and all of that stuff. And everyone was excited, and that was the beginning of EntreMD. At that time, we had no programs. I think after that, I started doing some one-on-one coaching. That was really all that I was doing at the time. And the big lesson I learned from that is, there's a scripture that says, don't despise the days of little beginnings. Who would have known that a meeting where I could only, and it's not because I wanted to be a small, intimate meeting, that I did all the marketing I knew to do, and I got 6 people, okay? 6 doctors and 3 medical students. And there's no way to have known that a meeting with 9 people would become what it has become today. So I could have been discouraged that I only had 9 people. I could have treated it like it didn't really matter because there were 9 people, or I could have celebrated the 9 people and just kept pushing, which is what I did. And you may be in a phase where maybe you're the earlier stages of your business. And I'll say, don't despise the days of your little beginnings. You don't know where it goes. You may be in a phase and you can see your 10x, 100x leap. And so to you, what you have now looks little. I'm telling you too, don't despise your days of little beginning. Don't despise the business you have. Don't despise the email list you have now. Don't despise the number of, subscribers you have on YouTube. Don't despise the financial milestones you've been able to hit. What you have is the raw material for what you're going to have, right? So, and when I think about it, one of the things I think about, if I trace all the way back to my first business, is with my first business, I really wish I celebrated the milestones more. I was so focused on what wasn't working, what I didn't have yet, that I didn't do that. And with my second business, I was like, nah, I'm not making this second mistake a second time, right? It's like having no pictures of your kid till they're in college or they become Harvard trained neurosurgeons, right? Like then you're going to really wish you had the picture of, the neurosurgeon in diapers when it was a baby and spitting up on everybody, right? So anyway, don't despise what you have. It is the raw material for what you're going to have. So that's the first landmark I wanted to share with you. And so that was September 29, 2018. The next one I want to share with you was our very first, real event, like official event. And that was EntreMD Live. My very first one was in June of 2019. And I remember then that at the time I was still a socially awkward, super shy, introverted introvert. I was not as shy, but I still was. And I remember it was so out of my league. It was just something that I don't even know how I pulled it off, because I was like, how do I develop all the content for a day? I was like, how do I find the location? I even went to a hotel, got a quote for like 10 grand. I almost passed out. Like now it'd be the equivalent of 100 million. Like I was like, what? Like I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to live stream. There's so many things I had no clue how to do. Okay. But we said, yes, we're going to do this. And we figured out every step along the way. And it was a phenomenal event. Now, with all the marketing power in the world that had gotten better, we had 47 people, but we had 47 people from 9 different states. Okay. And, this is people flying in. I'm like, why are they flying in? Right? Like, what? Like, wow. And I don't think there's anybody in the room I had met before, except, I had a classmate from medical school that came and a client who was local. But other than that, no, it was so good. We had 47 docs in. That was the first time I shared the DBE framework, the Doctor, the Business, the Empire. The first time I shared that framework. And I remember I launched a program at that event. It was called the Freedom Formula Masterclass. It was a 12-week program. When I look back, I can see it was a precursor to the business school. It was just phenomenal. I mean, it was so transformational. We had a doc whose business grew by 150%. 12 weeks, 12 weeks. It was so good. So the event was really good. I got financial planner to sponsor the lunch and it was really good. And so in that event, the lesson that I learned is to say yes. There are things that you look at and you're like, this would be great if I do, but I can't figure out how to do it, so I'm not going to do it. But every time I've said yes to something that I'm like, I don't even know how to do that, I've learned how to do it and I've done it. And especially for EntreMD Live, the first one, what it did, it positioned us in the minds of people as a real company. Like before that, I had some clients here and there and whatever, but it positioned us as a legit company. It elevated our branding, like our position in the minds of people so massively. And so I want to encourage you to be this person who says yes and then figure it out, right? As Maria Forleo says, everything's figure outable, right? So that was EntreMD Live. And we literally this year had our 7th one, right? So we had one in 2019, but we had the 7th one this year. And yeah, who knew it would be this thing that served thousands and thousands of people and changed the trajectory of so many doctors' lives. I mean, there's so many doctors who are like, my journey started in EntreMD Live. And EntreMD Live, some of them, then went on to take those principles and change their lives. Some others went on, joined the EntreMD Business School and totally changed their lives. And there's so many people who trace their journey of transformation as physician entrepreneurs to EntreMD Live. And it all started by saying yes to something. I was like, I don't know how to do that. Okay. All right. So third milestone is in November of the same year of 2019, we then launched the EntreMD podcast. And the way this happened was very interesting. At this time, we had a program that was running. And I told people, I said, one of the ways you can grow like your audience, the number of people who know about you, the way you can solve this problem of obscurity, which is one of the biggest problems every business has, is you can go be a guest on other people's podcasts. And I wanted to say that. Now, I did more speaking at the time at events or, things like that. So I wasn't using the podcast method, right? But it's the same concept. But I am not necessarily a fan of teaching people what I don't do, right? Like, so I treat my life and my businesses as the labs and I experiment with them and I come out and I say, okay, guys, this is what is taught. This is what I've experienced. Now let's go do the same thing. So I said, okay, let me go be a guest on podcasts. I went to be a guest on the podcast. I think I did 2 or 3. So I practiced pitching for podcasts. I practiced getting spots for it, being the guest on the podcast, all those things. And I actually really enjoyed the process. At that time, I was mostly a YouTuber, if you will, like, doing mostly videos and stuff like that. And so I did a post on Facebook. In my mind, I was doing it to confirm what I already knew, right? I already knew that people preferred video over audio. Okay. I already knew. So I did a post. I said, how do you like to consume content, right? Like for your business education, all of that stuff, podcast, YouTube, blog. Okay. And I knew that they were going to say YouTube, podcast, blog. Okay, in that order. The poll comes back is 90% or 95% podcasts and then YouTube and blog. I'm like, first of all, I was shocked. And then I was like, the nerve of these people. I've been spending all this time creating videos and this is what you're going to tell me? Then I made a decision. I said, well, I mean, like, I'm trying to reach these people. So if what they want is a podcast it is. And so I remember Googling, like, how do you start a podcast? And then this article by Buzzsprout came up. I read the article, got the microphone, signed up for Buzzsprout, did all of those things, used my phone, got my earphones that came with the phone, recorded the first 2 or 3 episodes, reached out to my brother. He's a keyboardist. He's a musician. I said, I'm like, you have to edit these podcast episodes. He's like, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, I'm a doctor. If I could figure out how to record them, you will figure out how to edit them. So we figured that out. And that's how the first few episodes of the EntreMD podcast happened. So we launched it November 19th, 2019. Who would have known? Okay. Who would have known that this podcast over less than a little under 6 years would have 760,000 downloads? Who knew? The number of people who've told me, my practice survived the pandemic because of the podcast, the number of people, whether clients or non-clients, who are like, oh my goodness, the episode you released on Monday is exactly what I needed. Like it's been such a game changer. And I want to say thank you to everyone who's listened, who's shared, who's written reviews. And if you haven't written a review, today will be such a wonderful day to do that. We're celebrating this amazing company that is, changing all of our lives, really. So if this podcast has been a gift to you at all, today is such a wonderful day to leave a review. Okay. So the lesson I learned with that, just start. Just start. If I waited to have it all together, there would be no podcast. If I had waited to have it all together, we would not have had 760,000 downloads, almost 500 episodes of pure goodness, right? And so if I had waited, I don't have it all figured out, all completely perfect. I mean, I've done this long enough to know like perfection is not a thing, right? Perfection is not a thing. Okay, so that's number 3. Okay, so we started off in 2018. We're only in 2019. Let's keep going. And then in 2020, at this point, I had done the Freedom Formula Masterclass, which was a 12-week program. I had experimented with the 6-figure club, which was like a 9-month program. And and I was just like, yeah, so I was like, there's something I haven't heard. I'm trying to put my finger on it. And what is it? And then I figured it out. It was the EntreMD Business School. That's what I needed to do. And it would be all about helping doctors with these main pillars, like making the transition from physician to entrepreneur or physician entrepreneur, building a dominant brand, mastering revenue creation, and building these teams, profitable teams. Okay, so these are people who can help you serve and earn. These are people who take outcomes, not just tasks off your plate and stuff like that. So anyway, then we started the EntreMD Business School. And again, I've talked about this many times. This was 2020. I had run one business, which was my private practice. And I had the EntreMD Business School, which at this time was a multiple 6-figure business. And I was like, my goodness, like, what is my qualification to have a business school? Like, what is this craziness going on, And I like telling these stories because sometimes you have doubts as you do what you do, and you may think that something's wrong, and there's nothing wrong. People talk about imposter syndrome. Dr. Catherine Toomer did a whole TEDx talk on it. And it's like, no, in any other world, it'd be called bravery. If you're going to keep trying to do new things, if you're going to keep trying to stretch and maximize your potential, then these doubts are going to come up. It's just part of the course. It doesn't mean stop. It just means you're trying something new. You're close to the edge of your comfort zone, which is outside the comfort zone is where all the magic happens, right? And so even while I was talking about the EntreMD Business School and all of that, I was like, OMG, this is so crazy. This is so crazy. I would have to, give you more detail of this story on another day, but we had an EntreMD Live. I told everybody about the EntreMD Business School. I had taught them about marketing and selling and the mindset shifts and all of those things. And I remember, when I said, okay, come join the business school, it's open. I remember that day, there were 321 people registered virtually. Of course, everybody was not live at the same time, but 2 people said yes. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned. I was like, wait, what just happened? And I'm teaching people how to market and sell, and I'm selling 2 people up 321 people. What in the world? Now I can laugh about it. It was not funny. It was not funny at all. I had not done many multi-day launches, so I didn't understand that most of the people wait till the last minute to sign up. I was terrified. Okay. I learned to get it all together. And at the end of the day, we had 22 people join. The very first doctor to join the EntreMD Business School is Dr. Fosa. He's a psychiatrist. He's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I told him this a few years ago. I was like, did you know that you were the first person ever to join the business school? And then we started this journey because at this point, the EntreMD Business School is 5.5 years old almost. And really the commitment from then till now is how can we help our people get results? How can we help them get bigger results? How can we get them to free up their time more? How can we get them to get better team members? We have been all in on helping our people, right? And it's been one of the greatest honors of my life to run the business school. And I tell them that at the end of every call. It's one of my life's greatest honors to work alongside you, To watch doctors who are like, I don't know if I could start a business, to watch them start a business, to see a doctor say, I haven't taken more than a week's worth of vacation in years, to see them walk away from their practices for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and their businesses are still generating revenue. It's just a magical thing to see a doctor get their life back. And so we've had all kinds of milestones, right? People, cross the 6-figure milestone. And remember a year, this was 2021, a doctor came into the EntreMD Business School and she's like, I've been trying to hit 1 million for a few years. I haven't been able to hit it. So that's what I'm here to do. And I remember that year in November, she hit the 1 million. She's like, oh my goodness, right? And so she hit her 1 million in revenue, which was just phenomenal, right? And it's not all, there's so many along the spectrum, but we've had, people hit their $1 million year. We've had people hit their $1 million quarter, $1 million month, right? $1 million launch. We've had, a doctor running a very successful business have $1 million in her side gig. Ah! It's been so fun. It's been so fun to watch. We had 2 doctors from the EntreMD Business School hit the Inc. regional list of fastest growing companies. Can you imagine that? That is so wild. And so, it's been just beautiful to watch the community that has developed, beautiful to watch people take their power back, right? Where they're like, oh, we're not renewing your contract. And people come back and they celebrate, well, they're not renewing my contract. Everybody's like, yeah, now you can go do what you really wanted to do anyway. To watch people. And the thing is, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And so these wins are filtering into their personal lives, into their parenting, into their marriages, into their health. Like, it's not unusual to hear people say, I had my biggest revenue month and I've gained 3 pounds of muscle, or I've worked out consistently for 98 days. Or it's just, it's so good to see. The EntreMD Business School is a magical place. There just isn't a place like it. And it's taught me so many lessons, but I think the lesson I want to hold on to for right now for that is, if you will go all in on serving your clients, if you go all in on that, not bells and whistles. And I'm not saying do not do bells and whistles, but that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to helping them get results. And for me, what that looks like is whatever books I need to read for me to be better so I can help them better, I invest heavily in coaching because I understand, like, you can shatter glass ceilings, but once you shatter, you become the ceiling, right? And so I'm very aware that the more of my limitations I work through, the more I can serve them, the better I can be for them, the better I can help them. It's helping them get results. That's what, if you go all in on helping them get results. And so if you will do that, the results will blow their minds and your mind. And so in the EntreMD Business School, I stay in a state of being mind blown. To watch an employed physician tell you, I want to do a practice, but I don't know if I can do it. And then less than 3 years later, they're running a multi-7-figure business. That is insane. That's the EntreMD Business School. That's the 4th milestone. The 5th milestone, I had the opportunity to do an event for the doctors in the EntreMD Business School because I'm like, we're creating all of this magic virtually. What will happen if we came together in person? And for me, I start my new year in October. So the Q4, the 4th quarter of the year, is really the beginning of the year for me, if you will. That's when I do my goal setting. That's when I plan the year. I do all of those things. So while people are massively and royally distracted, October, November, December, I am probably the most focused, right? It doesn't mean I don't enjoy the holidays and all of those things, but remember, it's holiday, not holiday week or holiday quarter, So anyway, I wanted to bring my people into this experience because I'm like, man, if they do this, it'll be so easy to navigate the end of the year and they can start the beginning of the year with a bang because they did all this work in the 4th quarter of the year. I was like, but you're going to bring people from all over the country and many international to a place. And I'd never hosted an event at that level before. And so we had our very first EntreMD Business School Vision Retreat. And we had it in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Oh my goodness. Was it an event? It was so amazing, right? The exercises we were able to do, the breakthroughs people were having in real time, the networking, the bond. It was just nuts. People still reference that meeting, right? They're like, oh, at this meeting, I remember saying it would take me 5 years before I'll be in a position to hire a doc. And the person sitting right next to them is like, why don't you do it over the next 12 months? And by the end of the 12 months, they had that, right? Like I'm talking big shifts, big limiting beliefs removed, big blocks being, it was so good. So people walking in like, this is what my 20, for that event, 2022 will look like. I walked away with a completely different picture, which was so much bigger. And many of them pulled it off. Many of them still have their notebooks from that event. And they'll say, Dr. Una, I was looking through that notebook. Can you imagine? I'd never paid attention to it, but hosting transformational events is a superpower of mine. If you will work with me and we are at an event, you are going to walk in one way and you're going to leave completely different because that's my goal. I'm like, I have my team that will do all the, the swag and all this other fun stuff. I'm not wired that way. My mission is whatever limiting beliefs that we're going to overcome them, whatever obstacles, whatever secret lies you've been believing and you didn't even know and they've been sabotaging you, they'll all be uncovered. Your mind will be open for the first time to see a much bigger picture of what is possible. You'll walk away with a pathway. Like this is my jam. And so I remember thinking, I said, here we are. And somebody who started off as a super shy, socially awkward, introverted introvert is a genius at hosting in-person events. How crazy is that? And so it left me with this conclusion. Do what you don't like. Don't be afraid to try what you don't like doing because you will never know what your zone of genius is till you start doing stuff. And then you go like, wait, apparently I'm really good at this. You won't know, right? And so dear introverts, my people, okay, the networking, the speaking on stages, guessing on podcasts, like when I have my clients, right, the people in EntreMD Business School do a lot of different things that are proven principles, right, not just random things. Sometimes they're like, but I don't need that. That's not my I'm just like, just try. You don't know. You don't know. I mean, it'll give you clients, it'll give you all this stuff, but you may stumble on your zone of genius. So that was the lesson. Okay. So that's number 5. Number 6. Number 6 is EntreMD books. Okay, so 2022, we released our very first book, which was the EntreMD Method. And if you don't have a copy, you want to go grab a copy. We have a total of 5 books now. But oh my goodness, I had always wanted to write a book. I had always wanted to because I'm like, I know what I'm doing in the EntreMD Business School. I know I'm doing what I'm doing with the podcast, but I'm like, I want a way to be able to mentor people and expose them to different ways of thinking and give them different simple pathways and all of that stuff. Even if they're not ready yet to be in one of my programs or anything like this, I still want to serve them. For the people who want to help other people and they don't know what to do, I'm like, here's a book, you can, distribute this, all these things. And so we did the first one. And we've done many books since then. And we've done 2 collaboration books with the doctors in the EntreMD Business School wrote books. And we did Visibility Formula and the Profitable Private Practice Playbook, which is a phenomenal book. And yeah, like you definitely want to check out the EntreMD library. And if there's any book missing, you want to get it. But I was looking at our KDP account. So these are just the books that's been sold through Amazon. We have 5,479 books that have been sold since 2022. That's just on KDP. We have some for Ingram Spark and all of those kind of things. To hear someone say, oh, I read your book and then I made this change and this has been the result. That is just wild. It's just so wild. And I'm so grateful that we started that process. We have more books in us. I may or may not have 2 manuscripts waiting. I can neither confirm nor deny. It's been such a beautiful experience to be able to serve the physician community in that way with the books. And with this, there's a lesson I learned. And the lesson is actually there's 2. I'll give you both of them. The first one is the thing that you do it a lot, right? Like, so I help doctors build, profitable businesses, 6, 7, multiple 7 figures. And I've done it a lot. I've helped a lot of people. I've listened to their objections. I know the obstacles that stop them. I know the hangups. I know all of these things. And so when you do that, you build mastery, right? You build mastery because what you don't want to do is you don't want to document things that when you go back, you're like, oops, you know what I mean? And, because sometimes we might be more interested in writing the book than becoming the book, right? Like you want to become the book and then write the book. And so that was a lesson for me. Serve as many people as you can, have as many conversations as you can, create as many changes as you can, all of those things. And you start getting patterns and all of that stuff. And you become really good at changing the lives of people through books and all those other things, because these are things you've done. You're not making them up, or you're not reading about them and regurgitating them. But that's an aside lesson. The real lesson is plan for, and these words, they're words that are used to describe God, if you will. And so I'm not saying it in that kind of way, but it's the concept, right? So plan for omnipresence and plan for immortality. The way I understand it is you don't want to have only one way of helping people. You want to saturate a place with your philosophies and your expertise and your areas of mastery and the thinking that's created results for you. And for me, it couldn't be only EntreMD, or it couldn't be only my email list and stuff. And what books have done is books have made it possible for me to spread the message further, faster. It has created an opportunity for people to be able to see what I'm all about. And then if they want to come join our programs and all, they can do that. So that's for omnipresence. But immortality is like, even if you're not here, like even if I'm not here, my podcast can still change lives. My books can still change lives and all these things. And so it's kind of downloading yourself into other things that are not you. And so that whether you're here or you're gone, you're still able to change the world. You're still able to have a huge impact. Like I want to have an impact hundreds and hundreds of years after I'm gone. And it's things like that make it possible, right? Okay. So that's the lesson I learned there. And then the last milestone was one of my really fun projects, and that is the Profitable Private Practice Movement. And we launched that in December of 2024. Okay, so we launched that in December of 2024. What happened was we had a Walmart in Florida that shut down 50 clinics. Okay, they just said this is not working. They shut down 50 clinics. And I remember doing the math and I said, wow, like if each of those locations had 1,000 patients, that's 50,000 patients that don't have a doctor. And are there enough private practices to absorb that? I would see in Facebook groups, between all the Facebook groups I'm in, it's almost every day. Someone's like, well, I made the difficult decision to shut down my practice. And I'm like, what can I give people? This is not the whole thing. It's not like the whole company and all that a company can exit with. It's not all of that stuff. I'm like, at its root, what are the simple things physician private practice owners need to know for them to have profitable practices that thrive, so they don't have to shut down their doors, so they can continue to grow, so they can absorb all these patients, so they can be the answer that the healthcare space needs. And I was like, it's not that many things. They need to learn how to fill their schedule. They need to become masters at that. They need to become masters at getting paid for the work they do. And they need to become masters at building profitable teams. And so the more team they have, the more impact, the more time freedom, and the more financial freedom is these three things. I said, okay, there are over 300,000 private practices. And I'm not going to put 300,000 people in the EntreMD Business School, but if I could teach them these three things, and this is not something that newbies need. No, we've talked to private practice owners making $3 million and still working locum to pay the bills because they don't have profitable teams and they're not getting paid for the work they do. So this is across the spectrum. And so once we came to that conclusion, we said, okay, we built a profitable private practice movement for every doctor to have the opportunity to master these three things for less than the cost of a cappuccino a day. And so I'm like, at this point, my job is to put it in front of as many private practice owners as possible. Your assignment is to say yes, because there's nothing standing between us. It's not the money standing between us. There's nothing standing between us. You just click, okay, entremd.com/movement. You just click, boom, you join. That's it. Okay. Boy, has that been such a game changer. To watch doctors rock building their referral sources, rock getting paid for the work they do, hiring like bosses, raising prices, the whole 9 yards. What a beautiful thing. The lesson I learned from that is your business is designed to solve a problem, and you may feel it's too big, it's too out there, I can't do it. Start from where you are and do it. You're the answer. I'm the answer for the problems my business is called to solve. You're the answer for the problems your business is called to solve. Like, own it. Own it. I'm solving a big problem. Own it. And so that was the lesson for me. So I hope in looking at all these things and seeing that, I'm not just some whiz who came up and figured it all out. That's not the way it happened. This is, 7 years that we talked about in about 40 minutes, but it's been such a game changer. The amount of transformation I have experienced. I love the version of me that exists now. I loved me before, but this version is pretty cool. It's been such a beautiful journey. And I know the next 7 years will be even wilder and even more impactful and all of that stuff. And so what I would really love from you is for you to join me on this mission. And we have enough resources to transform the physician community. Will you join us, help us spreading the word, like share the podcast, share the books. If you're a private practice owner, come into PPPM. It's for you, EntreMD.com/movement. And tell every private practice owner, like nobody should have to shut their doors. Nobody should be struggling so much so that they don't have any CEO time to think. They don't have time for their family, all of those things, right? They're, super busy, but not making any money. All of these things, none of these things should still be happening, right? None of them. You're ready to build a 7-figure business, or you have a 7-figure business, you're ready to take it to the next level. Come join us in the EntreMD Business School. People in your world like that, share it with them. But I want to invite you to be an ambassador for the cause. An ambassador for the cause. We are here to serve, and we would love your help putting us in front of people to serve. If you have a large audience and you want us to come do workshops and all of that stuff, just let us know. Dr. Una at EntreMD.com. We'll be so happy to come do that. But the next 7 years, we're going all in, and we're going to go further, and we're going to go faster, but we can't do it without you. Everything you do helps, okay? So you can start by sharing this episode. You can share it on social media, tag us. We'd love to repost that and all of that. Tell us, happy anniversary, if you will. Tell us how EntreMD has changed your world. We'd love to know. We'd love to know, okay? And the lessons that we've talked about, I want you to think of which one, 2, or 3 that you're going to adopt and start running with. And I want to see your business thrive. I want to see you thrive. I want to see the big change you'll make in the world. It may look little in the beginning, but everything that is big now was once small, right? It was once small. And I want to see you do that. I want to celebrate you. But this is the time for physicians. It is our time. But the old rules don't apply anymore. New rules apply. The EntreMD method works. Join the movement. Join the mission. Help us get it all out there. You be an example of what is possible. I'm rooting for you. And this is a new season for us. It's a new season for you. And it's my trust and belief that it will be your best season yet. So rooting for you as always. I'll see you on the next episode of the EntreMD podcast. And I'll see you everywhere where you're sharing the message. And we'll have lots of conversations there. Rooting for you always. And happy anniversary to EntreMD.